when 3 soldiers walked into a diner and changed everything. Picture this. You're 17, stuck in a grotty roadside cafe in the middle of nowhere, and 6 blokes, the size of lorries, start taking the mick out of you because you re in a wheelchair. No one's helping. No one's saying a word. You're completely on your own, until you're not. What I'm about to tell you actually happened, and I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see the world a bit differently. So there's this place called Rosie's? Yeah, proper old-school truck stop off the interstate. The kind of gaff that's seen better days. We're talking burnt coffee, greasy bacon smell hanging in the air, and that weird sticky floor that makes your shoes squelch. It's chucking it down outside. Rain absolutely hammering against the windows like it's got a personal vendetta. Inside, there's this girl, Emma Hayes. She's 17, sat in her wheelchair, nursing a cup of hot chocolate that's probably gone cold by now. She's been there over an hour, just waiting. Her backpack's stuffed with college textbooks, and she's stranded because the bus broke down. Her dad's still at work at the factory, won't be able to pick her up for another couple of hours. Her phone's dead. She's basically stuck. Now, here's where things get proper dodgy. The door flies open, and in Storm 6, massive blokes on motorbikes, leather jackets, tattoos everywhere, the full works. They're part of this gang called the Iron Skulls. And trust me, they're exactly the type who think they own every room they walk into. Big lads, loud as anything, boots thudding on the floor like they're trying to crack the tiles. The one in charge is this absolute unit called Vic. Bald head, scar running down half his face. Earned himself the nickname Vicious in 3 different prisons. Says it all, really. First thing out of his gob is some sarky comment about the place looking like it has unit been cleaned since the 70s. His mates all laugh like it's the funniest thing they've ever heard. The waitress, Diane, lovely woman in her 50s, who looks proper knackered, comes over with menus. She's trying her best to be polite, putting on that professional smile, even though you can tell she's not thrilled about serving this lot. Welcome to Rosie's. What can I get you, gentlemen? Gentlemen? Vic practically spits the word out. Hear that, boys. She thinks we're gentlemen. More cackling from his crew as they spread out, taking over the corner booth and the bar stools. Emma's trying to make herself invisible, you know, rolling her chair closer to the window, keeping her head down. She's learned that's the best way to deal with people like this. Just don't exist. Problem is, when you're the only teenager in the place, and you're in a wheelchair, invisible isn't really an option. One of them spots her. Skinny bloke with his spiderweb tattoo covering his whole neck. Oh, check out the kid. What's a little girl doing here? All on her tot. Emma keeps her eyes fixed on her cup. Doesn't acknowledge them. But her phone's dead. Her dad's ages away. And the last thing she needs is these lot paying her any attention. I'm talking to you, sweetheart, Spiderweb says. Louder now. Bit rude to ignore someone. In it. Vic turns around, and the way he looks at Emma ... It's like a fox sizing up a chicken. Cold. Cruel. Dead behind the eyes. Look at that. Girl can't walk, and she can't hear neither. What a waste. The whole place goes quiet. The cook stops flipping burgers. Diane freezes mid-pour with the coffee pot. 2 lorry drivers at a nearby table suddenly find their full English absolutely fascinating. Leave her alone, Vic Diane says quietly. She's just a kid waiting for her dad. Did I ask you, Grandma? Vic snaps back. Mind your business before you get hurt. He stands up. This bloke's massive, right? 6'4", built like a brick outhouse. Walks over to Emma's table like he owns the place. So, what happened to you then, kid? Your daddy forget to look both ways crossing the road? Or were you just born broken? Emma's hands are shaking around her cup. She wants to say something, wants to defend herself, but the words won't come. She's dealt with bullies at school before. Yeah, nasty comments whispered in the corridors. But never anything like this. Never grown men with violence written all over their faces. Asked you a question, Vic says, leaning right in until his face is centimeters from hers. His breath reeks of whiskey and fags. What's wrong with you? Cat, got your tongue along with your legs. Please, Emma manages to whisper. I'm just waiting for my dad. Please, Vic mocks her in this high-pitched voice, and his mates absolutely lose it laughing. Look at her, boys. Probably crying for Daddy to come save her. Bet Daddy wishes he'd had a proper daughter instead of this broken one. Another one, bloke with a handlebar mustache, joins in. Bet she can't even feel her legs. Probably doesn't feel anything below the waist. Useless. Spiderweb adds. His 2 pence. My dog's got more use than her. At least he can fetch. And it just escalates from there. They start placing bets on what happened to her. Car crash. Born Dad Y. Failed suicide attempt. Each guess is more vicious than the last. Emma's crying now. Tears streaming down her face. Shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Diane tries to step in again, but Vic shoves her back against the counter, hard enough to rattle all the plates. This is entertainment, Vic announces. We paid for our food. We can enjoy ourselves however we want. Then he does something that makes my blood boil just thinking about it. He reaches down and flicks Emma's cup, sending hot chocolate spilling all over the table and into her lap. The liquid's still warm enough to make her gasp, but she can't move fast enough. Vic kicks the wheelchair's wheels with his boots so they lock. Oops, he says with fake sympathy. Look at that. Made a mess. Can't even drink without help, can you? Right then, ... The door opens. 3 men walk in, and I'm not being dramatic when I say the temperature drops about 10 degrees. They're wearing military dress uniforms. 2 Army, 1 Marines. All of them with rows of medals and ribbons across their chests that tell stories of places most of us couldn't imagine. The oldest one. Silver-haired bloke in his mid-50s with the bearing of someone who's been in command his whole life, stops just inside the door. His eyes take in the whole scene in about 2 seconds. The crying girl. The spilled drink. The bikers surrounding her. The terrified waitress pressed against the counter. His shoulder insignia identifies him as a colonel. Name tag reads, Morrison. Gentlemen, Colonel Morrison says, and his voice is quiet, but it carries this weight that makes everyone freeze. Step away from the girl. Vic turns slowly, expression shifting from amusement to annoyance. And who the hell are you supposed to be? Captain America? Colonel James Morrison, United States Army, comes the reply. This is Major Chun and Sergeant First Class Rodriguez. And I'm telling you one more time, step away from the girl. The bikers laugh, but it sounds forced now. Nervous. This is a free country, Colonel. We're just having a conversation. That's not what it looks like from here, says Major Chun, stepping forward. He's younger than Morrison, maybe 40, but he's got this compact build that screams marathon runner. Looks like 6 grown men, terrorizing a disabled minor. Spiderweb scuffs. We're just talking. Sergeant Rodriguez, the Marine, walks straight to Emma's table without asking anyone's permission. He's built like a rugby player, hands like dinner plates, but when he kneels beside her wheelchair, his voice is gentle. You're all right, miss. Did they hurt you? Emma can't speak, just shakes her head, tears still pouring down her face. Someone want to explain what's happening here. Morrison, essa keys. Eyes locked on Vic. Diane finds her voice, stepping forward despite being terrified. These men came in about 20 minutes ago, started harassing Emma, making fun of her disability, saying terrible things. When I tried to stop them, that one, she points at Vic, shoved me. The atmosphere completely shifts. The lorry drivers who'd been pretending not to notice suddenly stand up, positioning themselves near the exits. The cook comes out of the kitchen with his phone. The 3 military officers go very, very still. Is that true? Morrison asks Vic directly. What if it is? Vic says, puffing his chest out. What are you gonna do about it, old man? There's 6 of us, and 3 of you, and we don't follow your orders. We're civilians. Civilians, Morrison repeats, like he's testing how the word tastes. You know what I've spent the last 30 years doing? Defending civilians. Protecting them from people who think strength means hurting those weaker than themselves. People exactly like you. Big words, Vic sneers. But you're not in Afghanistan anymore. Colonel, you can't do nothing to us. Major Chun pulls out his phone. Actually, we can do quite a bit. My wife's a federal prosecutor, specializes in hate crimes and assault. North Carolina has very specific laws about assaulting disabled individuals and making terroristic threats. We didn't assault anyone. Handlebar protests. You shoved my waitress, comes a new voice. An elderly bloke emerges from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron. Marcus, Rosie's grandson, who inherited the place, got it on camera. Security system installed last month. Vic's confidence falters. You can see it in his eyes. This is bollocks. No, Colonel Morrison says, stepping closer. This is 6 grown men making a teenage girl cry because she's in a wheelchair. This is thinking you're tough because you can intimidate someone who can't run away. Want to know what real strength looks like? He gestures to Sergeant Rodriguez, who's now gently cleaning the spilled chocolate from Emma's lap with napkins, talking quietly to her about his own daughter, who's about her age. That's strength. Protecting someone who needs help, not mocking them. I've seen men half your size, Major Chun adds, carry wounded soldiers 5 kilometers through enemy fire. I've seen women who lost limbs in explosions relearn to walk and then go back to serve. Disability doesn't define weakness, but cowardice, that defines you. Not perfectly. The other bikers are shifting uncomfortably now, exchanging glances. This isn't how it was supposed to go. They're used to people backing down, giving them free rein. But these 3 men aren't backing down, and everyone else in the diner is rallying behind them. Here's what's going to happen, Morrison says, pulling out his own phone. You're going to apologize to Emma. You're going to apologize to Diane. You're going to pay for everyone's food in this diner. Then you're going to leave and never come back. And if we don't... Vic challenges, though his voice has lost its edge. Morrison smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Then I ring my mate, Sheriff Jackson, who I served with in the Rangers back in the 90s. He's about 10 minutes away with a very enthusiastic K9 unit, and I'm willing to bet at least one of you is carrying something you shouldn't be. Drugs, illegal weapons, outstanding warrants. Should we find out, the silence that follows is absolute. Spiderweb cracks first. Vic! Mate, let's just go. Shut it! Vic snaps, but his eyes are darting towards the door now, calculating odds that are no longer in his favor. Rodriguez stands up from Emma's table, revealing his full height. You know what I hate most about men like you? You make the rest of us look bad. You wear leather and ride motorcycles and think that makes you hard. But there are veteran motorcycle clubs out there doing real good, raising money for wounded warriors, escorting abuse victims to court, protecting kids. And then there's you lot, terrorizing a girl in a diner to feel important. You don't know nothing about us, Handlebar mutters. I know enough. Rodriguez fires back. I know you picked the weakest target in this room because that's what bullies do. I know you're scared right now because someone finally stood up to you. And I know if you don't apologize in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to make sure every veteran MC in this state knows your faces and your club's name. Dat dos. Italiano. The thought of being blacklisted, of having actual warriors hunting them, breaks whatever resolve they had left. Vic's jaw works silently for a moment before he finally spits out. Fine. Sorry, kid. Sorry, waitress. Not good enough, Morrison says. Look her in the eye. Say her name. Mean. Italiano. Vic turns to Emma, and for the first time, he actually looks at her. Really looks. Sees the fear in her eyes, the tear-stained cheeks, the trembling hands. Sees a 17-year-old girl who just wants to go home to her dad. And something in him, some tiny buried fragment of decency, feels shame. Emma, he says, voice rough. I'm sorry. What I said was wrong. You didn't deserve any of that. Emma nods, still unable to speak, but the terror in her eyes has lessened slightly. The other bikers follow suit, mumbling apologies ranging from genuine to grudging. Vic pulls out his wallet and throws 300 quid on the counter for everyone's food in the mess. Now leave, Chun says, And if I ever hear about the Iron Skulls MC bothering anyone in this area again, there won't be a conversation. There'll just be consequences. They leave. 6 grown men, defeated not by fists or weapons, but by the simple presence of people who refuse to let cruelty go unchallenged. The sound of their motorcycles fades into the rainstorm, and the diner exhales collectively.